Can I tell my wife she needs to cut ties with one of her friends? My, 40 male, wife, 33 female. And I have been married for 9 years and have 3 kids together, ages 3, 6 and amp. 8. The marriage has a rollercoaster of a history but is probably similar to the ups and downs that most marriages have. In 2020, COVID, the election, and conspiracy theories really drove us apart. She made a new female friend that completely changed her. She became a political warrior, decided to be against all vaccines, and took it all to social media. Her insensitive posts made her lose most of her friends. She would come to me with these theories that her friend brought to her, and they just seemed so illogical that it was very hard for me to respond in ways that identified positively with her. An example is the depopulation theory. She once came to me all stressed out saying, "This is so scary. The COVID test is really just a way for the government to put a tracking device, tattooed barcode in our noses so that they can track us and control us." My response, which meant to say that the idea was crazy, was interpreted as me calling her crazy. She felt like I was gaslighting her. So she felt that I was not supporting her and not respecting her. As we were driven apart, she ended up meeting a guy online and started an emotional affair with him. You can look at my past posts if you want to see all of the disgusting posts about them and their phone sex. But the short version for this post is that I caught her, she ended it, I forgave her, and we're now in marriage counseling and doing better than ever. However, that female friend is still there. And still sends endless messages and continues to spread fear. At this point she has my wife wanting to pull our kids out of public schools. The whole reason we moved to this city is because it has the best school in the state. Because they are requiring masks and there are rumors of critical race theory being taught to kids. But in addition to the crazy talk, I've started thinking that I don't like that she was the one friend that knew about the affair. She didn't step in as a good friend and tell her to do the right thing. Either work on the marriage or leave and go be with the other guy. Instead, she encouraged the manipulation and sneaking around. And now I don't think I'm comfortable with them continuing as friends. It seems wrong to ask her to cut this friend off. Is it? Or does she need to discover it's an unhealthy relationship on her own? Or can I simply make it known that I do not like their friendship and wish it to end, and let her take that for what it's worth and do whatever she does with that info? Edit. I need to edit my post and add some clarification. She was going down the QAnon path back when the election first ended, and I think she came to her senses a bit because she no longer follows the QAnon stuff. It's more about hardcore Republican views now. She frequents every Republican Facebook group that's out there. They are completely against masks and think freedom means getting to choose to not wear masks and to have medical freedom. So she's mainly only anti-mask, anti-vaccine, and completely against critical race theory. They see every attempt to create inclusion in schools, social equity, as an attack against white people. The posts that she's fed are around the thought that the schools are trying to teach children, as young as kindergarten, that it's okay to pick whatever sex that you want to become, that there will be corrective action for addressing someone as he or she, instead of they or them, and that white people should be ashamed to be white. That white people are all racist unless they are actively putting forth major efforts to go above and beyond to make it up to minorities. And that's where we differ. I see social equity for its real meaning. If 5% of the school is black and 4% is Hispanic, then the library should have at least 5% of books that relate to black kids and 4% plus that relate to Hispanic. She sees it as a threat to encourage minorities' culture at the cost of making white kids feel ashamed to be white. And the science behind masks and vaccines is just crazy. You can take any science experiment or data set and use it to paint any picture that you want if you try hard enough. She just happens to be in the circles that use the data to scare people into not getting vaccinated or to comply and wear a mask. There are idiot doctors and nurses on YouTube claiming the masks are harmful and healthcare workers complaining about losing their jobs because they won't get vaccinated. And as far as the cheating, I really don't mean to make excuses for my wife, but I do want to paint as good of a picture for everyone as possible. Because in the end, I'm looking for advice, but we are all strangers that don't get both sides of the story or the inside view. I do know my wife really well. I know that she truly is a good person at heart, but she's also weak and an emotional mess. She's easily manipulated and makes very bad decisions out of fear or without thinking at all. She probably did fully intend to leave me for this other guy, but it wasn't logistically possible at the time. When I decided to leave her and originally walked away, she came to her senses and saw what she was ruining. There were endless nights of her on her hands and knees begging and crying for me to take her back. And all of the heart-to-heart conversations we've had. I'm sure it's possible that it could all be manipulation on her part, but we decided to try to fix the marriage and go to counseling. Since all of that, she's really been putting a ton of effort into focusing on us and being a better wife and a better person. It's just these crazy theories that remain. But I did set clear boundaries. She's 100% aware that if she were to ever cross that line again, that I would not even come talk to her about it. I would simply serve her with divorce papers and not be open to talking about it. It would be over with no room to talk about it. And I'm not here to debate whether masks work or not. I get there are views for and against them. It's more about the depths she's willing to go to fight them and put herself and the kids under stress when the kids are perfect okay with complying to such a simple requirement. The constant hatred and disrespect she shows towards others who have a different view. You should be cutting ties with your crazy cheater wife. Why not cut contact with your wife? At this point I think it's okay to demand she cut ties. Her friend had to cross lots of lines first, which she did. Bro, toxic is toxic. You are going to have to put up some boundaries here. Because soon you might be involved in those conspiracy. Debunking people who believe these things is a uphill battle. Please talk your family and friends to help get this toxic woman away from your family. Let's say it is okay. And she isn't friends with her anymore. Your wife will just continue to look up these theories on her own, won't she? I feel so sorry for you, Op. It sounds less like a friend, and more like some cult. You can ask her to choose between you and her friend, but that might sound too harsh. Hope you can get out of this safely. Frowning face. You might find better advice reposting this on QAnon Casualties. Your wife sounds pretty deep in it, but being in couples therapy AD recovering from the emotional affair makes it sound like she is open to trusting your judgment and might be able to break free. She is fucking crazy. That sucks, especially for you and you kids. I agree, if this friend is extremely crazy then and encourage the bullshit. Then she should be out of your lives. Maybe back to counseling? I'm worried about your kids a lot. My mom wants me to keep my marriage a secret. Just recently, I married my best friend and the love of my life after a few years of long distance. Both sides of the immediate family were elated, and my new husband and I are over the moon happy to start a new chapter together. But when I first announced to my family that he and I had plans to marry, my mom had conflicting feelings. While she liked my, then, boyfriend, and was happy and excited to hear we were moving forward together, she expressed a personal concern that perhaps we should wait a year before we tell anyone outside of my immediate family and circle of friends about our marriage. She claimed that she was afraid of what people might think about me moving on. For some backstory, I had been married once before to a man that everyone, my family included, absolutely adored. What they didn't know was that I had been emotionally, verbally, financially and sexually abused by that narcissistic man for the duration of our marriage. When I finally got the courage to file for divorce and heal, my mother didn't support me. She thought I made it all up and didn't believe my husband was capable of doing the things he did. I had no support until the divorce was nearly over, which my ex dragged out and made long and painful. Back to today's situation, my mom essentially told me that I could do whatever I wanted, but that her condition was that I not tell anyone about my marriage. She worried that friends and family might approach her and ask why I was moving on so soon. When the reality is I had checked out of my abusive marriage mentally and emotionally a few years before my 2-year divorce process was ever final. Because I want to protect my relationship with my mom, I agreed to keep quiet about the marriage, and haven't told anyone. But now I'm starting to feel a little sick over it all. Why should I lie, and keep my marriage a secret just to avoid judgmental questions from others? We were friends who fell in love and got married. I don't think we should keep that a secret. Not to mention, I feel awful that my husband wants to share the happy news with others, and he can't out of my mother's fear that the news would spread quickly. Is my mom being rational? Should I keep respecting her wish for us to keep quiet about our marriage for a year? Your mother doesn't have your best interests in mind. Only hers. She also didn't believe you about the abuse. You are an adult, and this is your life, and you will do damage to your marriage if you don't share news because your mother has asked you not to. Adulthood is about leaving behind your parents and forging your own life, and it seems as if your mother has too much influence over yours at present. If preserving your relationship with your mother depends on you going against your own best interests, what does that say about your mother? Your mom is being crazy and it's none of her business. Should I keep respecting her wish? No, you should be angry for her interfering in your life and trying to make your marriage something shameful that needs to be hidden. I have to ask, why would you consider the opinion of your mom who took your abusive ex's side and now wants you to hide your current marriage so that she doesn't have to answer questions? If you keep putting your mother in front of your husband, you could be putting your relationship at risk. This is silly. Live your life for you, not for her. Fuck her. She doesn't get a say in your marriage. Be happy, be in love, and most importantly, stop talking to your toxic mother. Your mom already betrayed you once. Why trust her again? Please reread your post. Your mom is the absolute last person you should be talking to and taking advice from. Tell everyone and say it loud. You can even say to people, after years and years of abuse, I've finally found my dream man. Bake that tidbit into conversations with the people who you think might come at you. If they want to know what you mean, say that it is a story for another time and you want to focus on your happiness. Congratulations. And I'm not sure why you talk to your mother at all. What the fuck did I just read? You're a grown-ass married adult. Why would you not tell people because your mommy doesn't want you to? My husband wrote in my journal. Title sounds weird, and I feel weird writing this. Please don't judge. So I, 22F, keep a bullet journal, and I mean I work so hard on this thing. All my thoughts, feelings, emotions, and logistics of my life go into this journal. I went to start a new page this morning and I flipped to a page where my husband, 23M, had I guess opened to a blank page and wrote me a sweet note. I have no idea why, but for some reason this made me significant other, irrationally, mad. I haven't said anything to him about it and am trying to forget about it, but for some reason it's making me really upset. How can I drop this without making him feel bad, because I know he didn't have any malicious intent? My journal is just really important to me. Edit. For anyone curious about the way this situation was resolved. I should mention that this journal is where I take notes for my therapy sessions, it is my diary, and I have turned it into a bullet journal where I keep my agenda, life planning, etc. It's my way of turning not fun stuff into something fun, and in a way it's like a hobby. Upon further inspection of said journal, my husband had gone through the pages that were blank and had written little notes on a good amount of the pages that were left. This upset me further. After all of your amazing advice, however, I went out and bought us a journal. I approached the situation calmly and asked him why he did it. He was just trying to make me smile in a place where I write a lot of not happy things. Which, let's be honest, is sweet. He did not read it. He also just wasn't clear on what a bullet journal was, so I used some of your comments to explain that it's essentially a giant art project of your life. We plan to use our journal together, which will be so sweet to look back on when we're old. Props to you guys for that suggestion. And he promised to leave my journal alone in the future. I also plan to dedicate a page of my journal where he had written notes to dedicate to him. Thank you guys for all of your advice. This was clearly a big misunderstanding. The emotional reaction I had came from all of the emotional content inside the journal, and I'm glad I came here to vent rather than making my husband feel bad for treating me with kindness. Tell him that you appreciate the note, but your journal is your private space. I would approach it as this. Honey, it was very sweet of you to write me a note and I appreciate it. But next time not in my journal, please. It makes me anxious when anyone other than me touches it. So, I absolutely understand your frustration at his invasion of your privacy. However, I just want to float something as a widower. If he died just a few hours from now in a horrible accident, you would have that note forever. I treasure those little notes my late wife left and am so happy I saved most of them over the years. They are locked in a safe right next to the titles for my cars, homes, will, passport, and other important documents. My gut says, take a breath, step back, and look at the big picture. Save the page. Journal next to it the great things about what you love about him and how he makes you feel. Then go hug him like he won't be here tomorrow, because there's always a chance he won't be. Just be honest with him. Ask him not to write in your journal. Do you feel safe in sharing that with him? Buy a new journal just for you both to use. Start it off by leaving him a note gently reminding him that your journal is for your eyes only, followed by lovey-dovey shit. Guaranteed he'll write you back. I'm leaving, lovey-dovey shit, there, I don't care, tongue out. Okay, so I have a bullet journal and I'd lose my shit. I'm slightly OCD about pages and everything being in order, so ripping the page out would just make my anxiety worse. So this is like my nightmare situation. I'd simply tell him the truth. That it was sweet. And you totally appreciate it, but like OMG anything else but the journal. In the past I've told people who want to leave me notes to write them on sticky notes, and then I glue them into the journal to remember forever. Makes them feel more special. He was just trying to be sweet. If it feels invasive, tell him, but I feel that it is sweet. I'll start by saying fuck the people making the husband sound like a bad guy. He wrote a sweet note and probably didn't think twice about any repercussions. Yes, a journal may be private, but at the same time he is your husband, so if there was anything that could potentially jeopardize the relationship, they should probably be voiced and not hidden away. I know for a fact that this is something I would do without even thinking of the invasion of privacy. I wouldn't have even thought of reading through the journal, and maybe he was in the same boat. She 25F has made me feel bad about being a virgin 28M. I don't normally tell women I'm dating that I'm a virgin. She asked me what I'd done in the bedroom, so it just so happened to come up. I have however had a blow job, fingered a girl, kissed girls, and done the other stuff. I don't feel nervous about it. I don't need somebody to hold my hand. I don't even feel like a complete virgin after doing that other stuff. She said she wasn't bothered and I said I wasn't, which I'm mostly not. I told her about the time a girl rejected me when I was 24 because I told her. She called her shallow and again said she was fine with it. We had an amazing first date. She actually told me it was the best she'd ever been on. But on that date she sat me down and asked me why I was still a virgin, again saying she wasn't bothered. I didn't really know what to say. I told her I got bullied at school and that affected me for a while after school. In all honesty, I've rejected girls, they've rejected me. I'm an introvert. I used to be shy and I'm not the kind of guy who can just sleep with anybody. I'm picky, I suppose, and I don't want to use somebody just for the sake of me having sex. But last night she was going on about it again on the phone to me. I started saying I wanted to be in her bed to cuddle her and then her give me a blowjob. On the date she told me she likes giving them and is good at them. She said if I'm good she will. But then she started again asking why I was a virgin, saying she can't believe it. Going on and on about it for like 5 minutes straight, asking me all these questions, and it's made me feel like shit. She says she's not bothered, then why does she keep bringing it up? She went silent and I heard her silently say, I really want to have sex. I said so do I, and with you, and she went silent again. Then she said she's shy and I said good night after that. I feel like shit and that she has got a problem with it. Should I ask her straight up if she's okay with it? Too long did not read. She's made me feel bad about being a virgin still. Because it's uncommon to be a 28-year-old virgin. She's probably just surprised. Don't be hurt. Just take her to Pound Town and call it a day. I don't think she's trying to make you feel bad. I think she's genuinely interested. It isn't something you come across often, but it isn't a bad thing. Communication is important in any relationship, so if she's making you uncomfortable asking, then you have to tell her. I'm going to take a wild guess that she likes it. Thumbs up. Honestly, it's a good thing to ask questions about sex, sexuality, views, values, etc. to see if you are compatible. I've been constantly surprised how many people date for months or even years without knowing some really basic things about their partner. Then it comes back to bite them in the ass. I'd be asking questions too. For example, I'm not religious, so I'd be wondering whether there was a religious aspect or you were brought up being told sex was sinful. Or I'd just want to find out whether you had conservative views in general. She'll have her own reasons. You should be thinking of asking questions too. If you have particular values that are important to you, you'll need to find out how she feels. I don't want to be rude, but virgin at 28 is rare enough to raise questions. It may be genuine curiosity or her trying to vet to make sure there aren't any underlying issues. I don't think she intentionally meant to make you feel bad. She's probably just shocked at the fact that you're a virgin. At 28 it isn't something people come across often. It's special, a blessing really. Also, a part of her maybe doesn't believe you. I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot, would you believe a 28-year-old woman who told you she was a virgin? Don't feel bad, I think it's awesome. Here's what it boils down to. Is she only asking you because you are a virgin, or because you are male, and you are a virgin? Would she be okay with any of her female friends still being a virgin? Would she ask any of her female friends these questions? If the answer is yes, then it's just an experience thing. She only has been with 3 other people herself. If no, then it's a deeper issue. The sexual double standard still exists, where it is okay for women to be abstinent, but not men. There is nothing wrong with abstinent men. Also, there is not one reason why a man should choose to be abstinent. Therefore, her constant questioning is unnecessary and disrespectful. She isn't entitled to know. I certainly understand that her going on about it is making you uncomfortable. I'm not sure if she means anything by it, but I'd let her know that it's annoying you. If she still doesn't let up, then she might be a virgin fetishist or perhaps isn't the right person for you.